This episode of the Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Black Box Prompter. Are you a musician tired of being tethered to your tablet or music stand? Do you long to connect with your audience on a deeper level, but find yourself constantly glancing down at your lyrics and chords? Then I highly recommend Black Box Prompter, the smart and stealthy lyrics and chords teleprompter designed to liberate musicians from the stage clutter. This innovative device is perfect for bands, hobbyists jamming out in the garage, touring pros rocking arenas, and even houses of worship looking to elevate their services. It discreetly displays your lyrics and chords, allowing you to maintain eye contact with your audience, adding an extra layer of authenticity and connection to your performance. Don't let distractions hold you back. Unleash your full potential and create a more powerful connection with your audience with Black Box Prompter. Click the link in our episode description and use the promo code Corcoran at checkout for 10% off your purchase. Black Box Prompter, the smart teleprompter built for musicians by musicians. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I'm your host, Franky Corcoran. How we all doing today on this lovely June? What day is it? What day is this episode coming out? On Tuesday, right? Sorry, I can remember because we do Tuesday and Thursdays. I said, what day is this? Before we start the show today, I want to give just a little piece of advice, or maybe not advice, but for any aspiring podcasters out there, any podcasters out there who want to connect with people. For any regular listeners, you guys know that we have an advertisement for one of our partners at Podpatch, which is a excellent, I basically describe it as a dating app for podcasters, is basically the best way to describe it. But I just recently, and this is how I got connected with today's guest. This is a terrific group on Facebook that I'm just going to highly recommend here. Podcasters on Facebook. It's a public group on Facebook. It's got about 83,000 members, and it's public. Anybody is welcome to join it. Basically, podcasters, guests, hosts, whatever the case may be. It's a terrific group for connecting, networking, all that stuff. So I just wanted to give a shout out for that, because without that group, this episode wouldn't be happening here. I mean, obviously we'd have an episode, but I wouldn't be having our lovely guest today if it wasn't for this group. And we got a couple others who are booked from here as well too. So just a shout out to that Podcasters on Facebook public group, and that's for any aspiring podcasters. If you're a guest, if you're a host, this is perfect. So connect, collaborate, and grow your show. Just want to give a shout out for that. And so our guest today, I'm very, very glad that we connected. Diane Bostick. This is a terrific conversation. She's a comedian, author, who is honoring or carrying on her family's legacy. Her late brother Chris, who passed away in 2019, she turned some of his art into coloring books, and she has also written and reworked some of her father's work from notes on parchment paper, which is, it's crazy to think about. I'll definitely leave the conversation. I'm not gonna tell her story on here. I'll let the interview play out. It was a great interview. It was a great conversation. She's a great lady. Go to cbsticks.com, cbsticks.com, where you can see what she's done with her brother's art. Just great interview. Thank you to Diane for coming on. It was a really, really great conversation. Later in the show today, I want to give my thoughts. Red Dead Redemption 2 is getting a remaster. Supposedly. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? We'll kind of talk about that. And I'm going to give my thoughts on why I think it's pointless, but that's just me. And our second discussion topic is going to be talking about James Gunn not using Thor in Guardians. Of course, we had Thor show up at Avengers Endgame. At the end of Avengers Endgame, he joined the Guardians, and James Gunn basically said he didn't want to use him in it. So why didn't he? Was it a good choice? We'll talk about that. But anyways, guys, without further ado, just sit back, relax, and enjoy the podcast today. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Corcoran Entertainment Show. I am your host, Franky Corcoran, and today I am joined by a published author, comedian, actress, who has a tremendous story with which really revolves around carrying on her family's legacy, her father, her brother, and it's truly a remarkable journey that she's been on. Diane Bostick. Diane, how are you?
I'm fine. I'm very good.
That's great to hear, and thank you for coming on the show. And as I was kind of talking about, it's really truly fantastic to see. You've really taken the initiative in making sure your family's legacy stays alive. Of course, your late brother, turning his art into coloring books, and of course, your father as well too. Basically taking stories and notes and stuff like that that you had just found lying around the house on parchment paper, correct?
That's correct. And those old brown folios with the little metal, ties in them to put the holes together, and typed on parchment paper, basically with a typewriter.
That's
His stories.
the parchment paper diaries or something like that. That's what these should be called. Like that's where
Yeah.
it's truly amazing. So first off, just amazing work in keeping that legacy alive. How important has it been? Your brother passed away in 2019. How important has it been, even all these years later, to continue to honor your brother, honor your father? By showcasing their work and reworking their work to make it a wider appeal for our new modernized audience.
Well, it was quite a thing for me. Now I'm a boomer. Thanks for your sympathy in advance. Um,
Sorry,
I
my condolences.
even when well, if I send out the invitation, you probably won't come anyway unless I have a trivia game with prizes and free quality light beer and things like that. But you don't have to worry about that because I'm going to be cremated anyway. And because there's not a lot of nice, fun events you could put around a cremation, except maybe roasting marshmallows off a open fire in a very large oven. But we're getting dark here, so. So I have to, I have a lot of energy. And when people talk to me, they say, I can't believe you're the age that you say you are. What drugs are you taking? And I just don't. I'm high on life. Now, a lot of people get when they get a house or they get someone dies, it's old socks in the basement, a mortgage, or, big roof problems or something. I got literature and art. So I was blessed with that. Um, my brother took his life because in his end of life notes, he said, I woke up this morning, my hands didn't work. The writing was on the wall, there was nothing left for me. So that's a very serious end. But it's an end that makes sense. If you get joy from something, and that is the one means that you've had to bring joy to people and to yourself, and it's taken away from you, he was not involved in a relationship. He spent all of his life taking care of all the people around him. He was just a big-hearted caregiver. Was a guitar player. He was a comedian. He was an artist, and he did everything by hand. So it became for me actually a large part of that was imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard of that? Imposter syndrome?
Imposter syndrome, yep.
Okay. So, they tell you all the stages that you go through with grief. But when it's heaped on you, that you inherit all this stuff, which I told you, the house was clear. We were able to sell the house. But with the house came all the memories that I had in the house. And I could not go in the house for 3 months. My husband is a remodeler, and he went in the house. And he brought out of their boxes, oh, you got to look in this box. You got to look in this box. You might want something from this. He's a pack rat himself, French-Canadian guy. So I did grab something from Canada when he came down to Florida. That's the guy I met, and I married him. Now, when he's angry at me, it's in 2 languages, fractured English and filthy French. So anyway, there's a long story there, but he has a conservative viewpoint about living, a practical, down to earth viewpoint about living. But at the same time, he saw the benefit that I had to go into this time of massive grief, by the way, and submerge myself in this work. So it was a therapy for me, honestly, Franky. And when I got into it, I realized that I had been sleeping on my gifts. When I got into remodeling in Hollywood, Florida, where I met my husband, I got 100% into the rental and repair real estate market. And I was very good. I was very good with customers. I worked the jobs with my husband. We made a lot of money. We sold a house down there for 5-6 times what it was worth to come back to New York. But by the time I'd come back to New York, I'd already lost my father. And within 5 years, I lost my mother. And then in 2018, I lost my middle brother to ALS. And in 2019, I lost my elder brother to the beginnings of ALS. So in short, why it was important to me to keep them alive, it was necessary for me, for my own survival, to go into my gifts and to strengthen myself and recognize that I had all this talent, that there's no accident these things were left to me. Because then I was able to reformat them. As you said, I rewrote the stories that my family had left me. And I realized within 2 years, I had made 6 books, 3 children's books and 3 coloring books. So 1 PG, 1 adult art, basically. And the reason I think is that if you're in the spiritual realm, and I have a lot of people that are spiritual around me who believe in parallel universes, that basically we are just in one frequency. There's many lifetimes that are going on at the same time ours is. And we just can't see it because we're in our own frequency. So I believe that's true because very unusual synchronistic things have happened since my brother died that helped open doors for me that wouldn't necessarily be open, except if there was an intervention celestially. I found a house that I was looking for that accommodated all the artwork, and the person that sold me the house sold it at 1/8 of the price, just wanted to give me the house. And it's just a remarkable series of events that led me to believe I was meant to end up where I am right now, and that my mission and my purpose in my boomer time is the time that I needed to be there. And I think it came to me intuitively, but it came to me just very instinctively. And it came out of love because my parents had enormous talent and they obviously hid it away so they wouldn't overshadow their kids. So they hid the stories in the crawl spaces of the big Cape Cod that my husband cleaned and that I took to make books out of. And my brother left me art. So to me, it's important, but it was a natural course of events. Everything happened to flow back to my comedy roots, back to my acting roots, back to my writing roots when this happened. But it was not good timing for my human body and my health because it was 2019, just before COVID, and we remember the COVID time.
Oh, God,
That's
yes.
when that was everything shut down, and I had to not only try to master the digital world that I had been out of for a while. I'd never looked into the illustration artist, layout person. I had a layout person in Pakistan, as it turned out. I had a Chinese American illustrator in St. Louis. I had another art student from San Francisco that wanted to get his portfolio together, and he helped me tailor the art. My brother did very detailed art, but for a coloring book, you need to have something with a lot of open lines so people will enjoy coloring it. So I had to take some detail out of my brother's picture. So all of that involved decision making and artistry and digital capability that I didn't have, but I was given the help. The help came to me just remarkably in that 2 or 3 year period time. But now I recognize in my mind that my family is with me, that the stories keep me in touch with their energy, and that anybody who's passed over, I would say to any of your listeners, anyone that you grieve in loss, be understanding that person is around Their essence is with you. I know this because I go through my brother's art. And sometimes I cry. Sometimes I laugh. And I know my brother used to say, I escape into an 8x10 piece of paper. That means that all his love went into every picture that I have. And that is my most physical, material representation of my brother that I could ever have. And so when you ask me the importance of my legacy, well, it has become my life. It has given me my second life, my return to creative output, and the bringing of the stories to people makes people smile and brings some warmth to the world. So I don't know if I've answered your question and all of that, but
No,
thank you,
that's
Don.
truly remarkable. Like, kind of going back to when you had all those losses. I mean, you said, of course, you had your mother, your father, and two brothers at that. You had two brothers, and this all kind of happened within a decade. How did it get? I mean, obviously not easier, but I mean, when you're faced with that much loss within a fairly small amount of time, like how did it change each time, like each loss that you felt? Not maybe like not desensitized, but like how did you kind of adjust to it, being like, oh, like, like, here we go again, another loss? How did that kind of how did the grieving process progress, I guess you could say, or change as each of these losses occurred so closely to one another?
Well, I'll tell you something. I was in Florida till I was not in Syracuse, Central New York when my father passed away. I came to see him 6 months before he died. He was in hospice at the family home, and I did not see him die. I just saw him when he was still alive and at a hospital in New York City. But the thing was that my brother Christopher, when my father died, when my mother died, and when my brother David died, he did not bury them. They were sitting in urns on the mantelpiece of the house when I went in to clean the house. There was 3 urns. And the toughest day for me, Frankie, was walking into the designated funeral home with 3 urns that would join a 4th urn that I would have to put in the ground that August. So my trajectory was, I need to add to it for your understanding. May the 3rd, 2019 was when 2 officers came to my back door, which is the entry to my home, and said, we need to talk to you about your brother, Chris. They found him. He hung himself in the basement where he had his weight studio and his art studio, and he planned it, and he wrote the notes to explain why. So he was not confused. He did not linger in his depression. He didn't want to see his quality of life go down, and he didn't want to burden his little sister. That was his viewpoint. He had basically said to me many times, enough people have taken up real estate on this earth. It's time for me to give my real estate back. And he asked me if I would ever consider living in the house. He started to ask me questions that made me question why he'd ask that question, but I was very involved in my life, working my remodeling business with my husband. But that year was topped off in November of that year, 2019. My husband had a heart attack, a major heart attack. And so when I had buried 4 people in August, ahead around Thanksgiving, we had the house to clean and remodel. And of course, that I left that to my husband. He wanted to do that because we could save a lot of money doing that and turn the house very quickly, because there were very high taxes over there with a big school district over there. And I did not want to keep that house because I already had one filled with stuff. So that morning that I took my husband to the hospital, I was supposed to be at the house doing an open house. And my sister-in-law brought cookies to me, and she said, what is wrong? And I said, my husband's at St. Joseph's. She said, close the house and go. There is nothing important for you here. So I had not been successful selling the house. We tried to sell the house ourselves. We tried to repair the house. But when I took my husband to the hospital and I disconnected from the house for that moment, I went home to get my pillow, because it was a rare situation in that hospital where the spouses or the partner could stay in the room with the person, could stay overnight. So I said, I'll go in and get some. And so I went in my bedroom and I closed the door and I looked up and I said, if you want to take me now, because I can't lose somebody else. So that was the degree of of fear and grief that I had. But the strength that I had was the voice that came afterwards. I really felt my family touching my shoulder saying, I know this is a tough one, but he'll be fine. He's going to bounce back. There's a good surgeons over there. And you got to worry about cleaning out the refrigerator of all the junk he's been eating and you've been eating, and get back on track and take that pillow and go back to the hospital and have a nice night. And I almost said, well, that's sensitive of you, that I can't even cry on your shoulder and you can't even make it easy for me. So I keep hearing voices, or I give my time to cry about it. But there was the other part of it was I sacrificed my self-care for 2 years. I got down to 98 pounds. I knew I was in trouble when I had to go to Walmart for my new summer bikini in the toddler section.
Oh, geez.
But now I can get into the teen boys section, get into the pants there, so I'm happy. That's part of my comedy routine, okay? But now, looking back on it, it was terrifying to me. It's terrifying. Anybody that's out there that's don't know why they've lost, can't lose weight or can't gain any weight. They feel vulnerable. They don't sleep well. It's all stress. It's emotions. It's your own self-talk. So I changed my self-talk. And for some reason, between 2022 and 2025, I reinvented myself. And I realized that my strength will be to talk to people, to talk them through where I went and make it easier for them. And realize that this is only one small section of what occurs in the world of our life, because we are bodies inside of souls. We are not souls inside of bodies. We're made up of a soul that's much bigger. And I'm proof of that, because at 98 or 100 pounds, I was creating books from the material that was left behind by my family. And so when I look back on everything, people have said, it's remarkable what you did. Remarkable what you did in the time. And I have a girlfriend that said, you're brilliant. You're a brilliant person. So these adjectives I never associated with myself. And that is what you need to understand about loss and negativity and what you conceive of bad things. But when you have an obstacle, the reason it's there is to make you stronger, because there's another side of it. And with positive thinking and positive actions and good self-care, you can get through anything. Anything. I'm proof of that. I had 4 individuals and almost 5. I was lucky to get my husband to our hospital in 5 minutes. And the situation was, it was a Sunday. All the cardiac surgeons were there, and there was only 2 people in emergency. My husband got right in. So I say to myself, how can there be just this universe? How can there be just what we're feeling if we don't trust our higher power and other spiritual things? And I'm going to end with this one thing where I knew that I was not alone. I couldn't see in the universe what was coming, but I needed that second house. And I walked into the thrift store, and the little man started talking to me. And we were looking at real estate, Franky. And I was thinking, if we had another rehab house, my husband said, we need to get another house just for the stuff we want to keep from your mother, the stuff that we can sell. And I said, well, you can get a storage thing. He said, no, we need another house. I can flip a house if we find one cheap enough. So here he's had a heart attack. And we had these real estate guys showing us around to houses that didn't have roofs on them, or didn't have a garage, or there was a whole bathroom with no floor. And he said, oh, great potential, 79,000. And I thought, second heart attack and all our money that we made from the house going into this house? I don't think so. So I was desperate. And I opened my mouth to this little old man in this thrift store. Do you know anybody who's selling a house? And he said, yeah, mine. 74 years old. And was just telling me about his store and all the people that give him too much crap he can't sell. And he said, mine. I said, well, where is it? And he told me, and I said, well, that's 1.5 miles from my other house on the north side. He said, yeah. I said, well, how much do you want for it? And he paused a minute. Now, what he was describing is 2 lots with a brand new roof on the garage, a big brick commercial garage, a completely remodeled bathroom with tile. He was going to give me the washer and the dryer. He just looked at me and he wanted to give me this house. And I'm thinking, well, he'll want 110,000. We sold for 135. We'll be good. He looked at me. He said, for you, I sell you 40,000. And I screamed my husband's name and he came over and I ran to the van and I got the real estate papers that you get before you receive the money for selling the house.
Right.
So I had the value of what was coming to me after all the deductions from the real estate agents, the brokers, and everybody else. And I came in and he's laughing. He said, you don't have to show me. I know you have the money. I'm going to give this house to you. I'm going to sell to you. So I said to my husband, it would be nice to have a room in the front of the house that had hardwood floors and windows to the front and a place to put in my mother's conference table. And I can put all my brother's art on the wall. So we got the address. And once my husband saw the garage, he was already in love. Men in garages and basements and caves, this is what they love.
The man cave.
Man cave. So I went in the house and this is a flea market, guys. So there were flea market boxes everywhere. So I got to the end of the front of the house because we came in the door in the back. And in the front of the house was a room with hardwood floors, high ceilings, and windows to the front. That was perfect for my brother's art with French doors. I said I wanted French doors, and there they were. So the name of the place was Amazing Deals. His name was Lucky. My husband's nickname, and now his full American name, is Magic. And he called me his angel. And later on, I found out he said all his friends were trying to offer him 10,000, 12,000. He wanted to get out of this neighborhood because it was now becoming multiracial and people were using his yard, pulling into his yard, fooling with his garage. And he's just a single guy that wants to live a quiet life. And I just happened in to that situation. You can't tell me that I planned all of that because I didn't. I didn't even plan to go to this thrift store. I just said, hey, Magic, we're not in a hurry to get home. And I know this guy loves thrift stores. I need to tell you that date night is Tuesday because that's senior citizen discount day of the thrifty shopper. Doors close at 9 p.m. and he's the last one at the register arguing the prices down. So he loves it there. So I say to myself, let me indulge him. He came back from his, the rehab they give you after a heart attack. You go back and they do stress tests and they give you, put you on the treadmill and you do that kind of thing. So there was that place. And I just said to myself, let's just go in there because my girlfriend got a shirt in there and we have never been there. But because I went in there, we walked out with a house for 40,000 with a room in the front and development already enough to be able to display my artwork and start my business going for the books.
It was like meant to be kind of thing.
Well, synchronicity. If you ask for something in the universe and you put it in your mind and you're consistent about it and you're on your path, you're in your mission, you probably will receive. You need to say every day that you open your hands to receive all the abundance that the universe can give you. So that's when I started learning that my stress or my grief was going to be temporary. These were just human attributes. These were just human responses to very real loss. So in my mind, even though I was the 98 pounds, I wasn't sleeping, I had digestive problems. I knew those situations in my mind were temporary, that was a temporary Diane, that I would get through this and end up where I am now. So I always saw myself speaking in front of people. And now I'm going to events and they're school related, K through 5. And people are coming up to me saying, how much would you charge to come in and talk to the kids about writing or about making books? So I put in the universe that I would like to speak and I would like to be a light for these kids, for the other people. And now those things are coming to pass. So it's a long way to tell you, my stress is dissolving in all of my creative work because I love it so much, because it represents part of it, my family. And now I'm getting back into acting, which is when I mentioned to you, I was selected to be this monumental lady from the past, historically. It's called the Ghost Walk that we do here 2 times a year. So I'm able to slip into different personalities, and that's originally why I loved acting. I could escape from my life. And you know about that too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Like
Because
you get to be people you're not and live a life. In some cases, you can live a life that you wish you had, or you're just being this person because you're used to being one way, and you're like, I'm a nice guy, but this person is a real dick.
yeah,
I want to try being a dick. You know what I mean? Like it's just you can
so
be someone you're not.
you
Yeah.
learn from it. You learn that what we have is just a costume that we're wearing, that inside there's a lot of personalities and there's a lot of different ways to think about the world. And every day you can make a change from the way that you are. You don't have to be eat just vegetables. You can start to eat maybe a little bit of meat, And I had a lot of people that derailed me when I was very vulnerable. People that said, "Oh, just give up the meat, give up the dairy. It's the gluten that's bothering you." And I just had to pick and choose my own diet and put it back together. And now I'm at the point where I'm thrilled to be doing this character, even though it's frightening to me because it's a 12-minute monologue basically, where she talks about all of her accomplishments and why the school was named after her, and about her father who was an Episcopal minister here in the 1800s. So to me, that's just a part of my DNA, as it probably is yours too. But acting is a passport for stress relief, for networking with other people, for finding people that vibe with you in the theater, and for feeding your mind with different possibilities.
Yet networking's a big thing too. Networking, learning from other people, especially if you're going to go off and do this for you want to pursue it professionally. You never know who's watching a certain show or a certain movie, whatever it is that you're doing. Um, has it been kind of scary to get back to the acting, or was it just like for you, as
Well,
you
it's
said, like just
scary
yeah,
when it's something you haven't done in a while, acting like that. The last acting I remember doing is an ensemble thing. And it's great on stage because part of your energy and your stress is absorbed through other people because you're not alone. You have somebody to speak of, but she's alone, and she's a woman who never married, and she's very strong opinions. And I've infused a lot of humor into the character, which she wanted. And I'm able to sell one of my nostalgia coloring books at the table at the same time. So I have two revenues coming in there. Um, the last book that I created was Syracuse Good Times, 48 images of places that had been very viable in the 50s and 60s and 70s. We're talking about Boomerville again. And but now are no longer. But there's many octogenarians, there are many 100-year-old people that still remember these places. So I want to bring you to one story there. What is a surprise that comes back to me, which I never expected. I had a millennial web person. She goes in, she tells me about all the new platforms, and yeah, she told me I never knew about it. She told me about OnlyFans, and I thought this was an accessory shop for ceiling fans for my house. So that was met with some surprise when I went online there. But that's part of my act too. And anyway, she had a grandfather who had dementia. So I'm sure you know about that epidemic
yeah.
with
Oh,
people,
absolutely.
grandfathers or great grandfathers. And so he doesn't speak. She said, "I would like to trade 1 hour and get your Good Times book because my dad might recognize some of the places in the book." So they usually put the grandfather sitting and watching TV alone in the living room while they're all in the kitchen talking and everything because he doesn't discourse with them. Well, they gave him the book and he started singing songs that he remembered on the jukebox from these different bars. And he started telling stories about the people that he met and the places that he went to eat. And I found two now, one 92-year-old and one 73-year-old that received that book, and this is happening with them. They are so excited to inhabit a book that represents the life that they lived, the places that they actually went to. which I call it the nostalgia book. It has 48 images. And what I did in the back, first of all, I had to work on all my brother's art to make it easy to color. Took out some lines and made it less complicated. Secondly, in the back, I put scrapbooking pages. You know about scrapbooking?
Scrapbooking, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, so
I used to do a little bit of it when I was a kid and stuff, but then I kind of just fell off.
right. So scrapbooking is for this book. What I did was had a little blurb about each bar, each bakery, or each radio station, whatever it was. A little historical facts about one paragraph and any personal memory I had. And then there's a big page that's empty for people to put their ticket stubs or their own memories on there. So it's all scrapbooking pages with a detailed biography of each of the places in the front of the book. So it's a big thing. And I thought, when I did it, I said I had to match my brother in some way. So let me do the little biographies in the back. So it's a real brother-sister effort. Well, people love the scrapbooking pages. Now I've got a whole trajectory of this book going to a completely different audience than the other things that I have. And that is the memory care centers. Anybody that's a senior, any grandfather that wants to explain to his granddaughter what he used to do, where he used to go when he was young in this area. So what I got from my family was far more than I first anticipated. And I've only just started. And that is one remarkable story and something that's come back. And there's been more moments. There's been more moments. For example, how old are you?
I'm 25. I'll be 26 next month.
26 next month. Okay. So I used to go out with the art prints, my brother's art prints. I made them in little tiny 4x4, 4x6, sometimes 8x10, and put them in a bin so people could buy the art for less money than they could buy the book in case they couldn't afford the book.
Right.
So I went to these little country fairs and these other things and drove all around the place. My husband was very frustrated. What are we going to get there? Why are we spending the gas to go here? And what's going on here? But I had a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 16-year-old looking through this bin of art, and they were reacting to it. And we're talking about this guy that died in 2019, and he was 67, and he did everything by hand. So I said, what do you like about the art? And they said, are you kidding me? Look at this story here. And they started to tell me the story they saw inside the picture. So I said, wow, this generation is the same generation that sees the way my brother drew. They match his. So I got the feedback from the 14-year-old and a feedback from the 92-year-old, completely different. But there's something of meaning, like you talking about storytelling. My brother was a storyteller with his pen and his pencil and his colored crayons. He was a storyteller, and they saw the stories. So all of this to tell me, the little introvert that just likes to write and likes to get up on stage and escape into characters, it taught me that these books are going to have a broader reach than I ever imagined. They're universal. They have a universality to them. And I'm very, very happy to report that Gen X's love my comedy. And they want to follow me on social media, but I don't have very big social media. But they show up at my gigs. They show up at the places where they're comfortable going. And I think it's because I have no judgment. I'm not a judging person, and I seem to have something about me that people like. And I don't know what it is.
Whatever it is, I like it. I like whatever personality you have.
Yeah. So I reach out, and I've reached out everywhere, and then accidentally things came back to me in my travels, and I just said, I don't know where this is going, but I know that I want to get involved in talking to podcasts. Now, the first two that came in are both in Canada, New Brunswick and Ottawa were the first two. And it's a funny thing that I married a French Canadian. So I'm feeling surrounded by Canada right now, which is comforting in a way. So I think I've answered your question there. If you want to ask me something else.
That's a great way to end it off. That's so good. I was like, I could listen to this for hours, and then you're just like, okay, ask me something else.
Yeah.
But it's
I need to make you move it all. You are the host. You need to move it along if
no,
there's
well,
something.
like I let people talk. I'm not one of those ones to just say, come on, we gotta go. We're on TV. We got to keep going. No, it's podcast. Talk as long as you want. But it really is remarkable to see how it's the way I see it. It's you've taken a lot of the good out of the bad. Is what is kind of the way I see it. Is people who are going through grief or people who are going through some sort of whatever it is, depression, anxiety, mental health, whatever the problem is, um, there's lots of ways that they can not just improve themselves, but when they improve themselves and they're getting better, to help encourage others to do it. And I think what you're doing in spreading the word about, like telling your brother's story, telling your father's story, and all those little stories, the parchment paper diaries, I like to call them. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And it's truly spectacular, really, to see how you've carried on their legacy. When you look back on your journey, what and all that you've done, and throughout your life, like what do you kind of hope, like, people who read your stuff and things like that, what do you hope their biggest takeaway is from your experiences?
I want them to say she was funny. She had brilliance here. She had this personality. She was this person, this kind of person, to embrace her family legacy and yet be her own person. And so when I went back out to the comedy, I had a sense of creating new followers, young followers for my work, for who I was. Because my parents did not manufacture my persona on stage for comedy. They did not give me my acting ability. So I hope that people would remember me as the funny lady, um, and a manifester of a dream, manifester of dreams. Um, and you're right about the good. So you touched on something I would like to give as a simple clue for people that are going to go through loss, because it can seem overwhelming. Because in your mind, sometimes you have these people that they'll never die. In your mind, it's almost like they're immortal. The people that you really idolize and love in your family or even friends. But what I would say to them is the first thing you need to do is acknowledge that you will cry, that you will feel something, because the other side of love is always loss and sadness, because there is always loss with gain at some point. That you need to write down and remember the good things. And obviously, there were many good things, and there was a lot of love in my life when I was growing up, or I would not be the person that I am today to have done what I did with the literature and the art that was left to me. So when you accumulate that habit of thinking good thoughts, you wake up every morning, say, I am that I am, and that is enough. I am enough. Wherever you are enough. And anything that you think, you can say, this is a good day. This is a good step I can make, even if it's a small step. It's a good step, and I need to celebrate that step. And that's all the way to think. So I think I inherited my dad's positive mindset. That's how my dad was. And I'll leave you with something else. When I was going through the mass of literature and my father's biography from growing up in Texas in the 1930s, I had so much stuff. But I came across this poem that my father included in a letter to my mother called The Bridge Builder. And I can't quote it exactly, but it's an old English poem. And it talks about an old bridge builder who's traveling across the country, and he goes over an old bridge between a big divide, meaning between two mountains or ridges in some countryside. And there's a carpenter working on a house nearby, noticing him. So the old man crosses, and then he goes back, and he asks for some wood, and he reinforces the bridge that is behind him. And the carpenter says to him, "For what are you doing this?" You will never pass this way again. You have no need to go and reinforce the bridge. And the old bridge builder says, oh, I'm sorry. There was a young man following me who doesn't have my agility, and I want to make it safe for him. So we are all bridge builders, Franky. That's what we are. We're building a bridge for a future to make it easier for you and your children. And that's why we exist, to create a better life, a better world that makes things easier and safer and more joyful to be in. And when I read that poem, I cried, because I realized my father told me my Danish ancestors, by the way, I'm Danish, English, and Irish, which means I'm a promiscuous lucky drunk with a stiff upper lip, if you take all of the, but none of that, I'm not having any much fun that way, so forget it there. But he said in Denmark, his ancestors were bridge builders. So I am an offspring of a bridge builder. And that's why I created the books, and why I seamlessly, after I got over my human aches and pains and my emotions, how I went forward. So that is the important thing that I need to leave you that with, because whatever they instilled in me, they did not give me the knowledge of the world that I was going to have to live in, because the world that I see now is not what I was prepared for. However, I can still build a bridge by words that will make it easier for the people listening, and to help them understand and negotiate their life better in a more joyful way, in a more safe way. So when he put that letter that poem in the letter to my mother, I said, this is a big thing. This is the whole story of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because a normal person will just go across the bridge and keep going and have no thought of the person who comes behind them. But a true bridge builder is making a path for the person who comes behind him or her.
And passing it on for generations to come.
And yes. And then people remember you in a good way, because they say that book changed me. The book that, or she wrote here, what she did here changed me, or changed my life, or changed my grandfather's life. I have people writing me now about that nostalgia book saying, Diane, I will promote you in any way possible. You have made my father so happy. I cried when I looked through your book. Now, this was not a book that I wrote. It was my brother's art with my notes in the back, but it made her cry. People will forget what you do, what you say, but they will not forget how you make them feel. And that's why theater is so important, as people feel a story is presented, and they're able to feel and escape from their life and feel something else that you represent.
Exactly.
Yeah. And people don't understand that are not theater people. We really are a different tribe, and we have so much love to give, but we also use it for our own stress relief and use it for our own peace of mind. Our escape is that, into that character, into that storyline.
The Corcoran Entertainment Show is brought to you by Podmatch, the ultimate platform designed to connect podcast hosts with prospective guests effortlessly. Are you a podcaster looking to elevate your show to new heights? Or perhaps you're a guest hoping to share your story with a broader audience. Whatever your podcasting goals are, we have the perfect solution for you. Podmatch simplifies the entire process of discovering guests for your show or finding podcasts to feature your expertise. Now imagine a platform where you can easily match with like-minded creators tailored specifically to your niche. With Podmatch, you can effortlessly network with influencers and thought leaders, all while staying true to your podcast vision. There are a multitude of ways that Podmatch can help you grow your brand. You can be part of a thriving community of podcasters and potential guests. Engage, collaborate, and grow together. If you're ready to experience these fantastic benefits for yourself, we invite you to join Podmatch today. Head over to www.joinpodmatch.com/Corcoran Entertainment and sign up right now for only $6 a month. That's right, you heard me right, $6 a month. Join the Podmatch family today and watch your podcast soar to new altitudes. Thank you for tuning into the Corcoran Entertainment Show, and happy podcasting. And people who don't understand it might feel the same way about sports, where that's their escape. Going down and watching a game, or they're playing a game. That's their escape. I speak to that because where I live, if it feels like a lot of times, sports and all that stuff like that, kind of take more of a front seat. And theater and stuff like that, people who don't do it, they don't really understand what like the magic that it is. It's a drug. It's the best drug there is. I do not endorse the use of drugs on this podcast, but theater is the one drug that I will endorse. Is
Well,
just
you know that sports makes a lot of money. So there's a lot of money in sports.
100%.
If you believe we are traveling into we're creating a new energy for Earth, which is not focused on greed or money or material things. It's about kindness. It's about love and compassion, which grows exponentially, where money goes the opposite way. You can only lose money. You can only lose arrogance. You can only lose material things, and they mean nothing at the end. I can be attesting to that, since the essence of my family that I inherited from them that had the most power was literature and art, not couches and houses and cars and anything else.
And booze and all that stuff.
Right. Right. So, we are not living in the material world. I mean, Madonna was way back then.
Oh,
but,
100%.
Yeah, but that was there's a cycle now of going away from greed, and also your generation is reflective of finding meaning in things. It's more meaningful not to burn yourself out on a 40-day work week for something that you don't love, but to do a couple of shots of things that you do love that makes up the money that you need. And to preserve it, like you say, face-to-face meetings. You're burned out on the hackers of the Facebook pages and of the Instagram, and then the hackers of albums and comedy stuff and acting stuff, and the AI that's coming in to try to mimic, what creative fire people need to have that are creative theater people. So yeah, it's something I think I understand very well, that I have gotten abundance back. I'm starting to get monetization back when I'm not looking for it, simply because I'm staying in my zone where I belong. And I don't want to shut out any channels right now. Even though this is the time of my life, I should be at Maui, having my drink of pina colada and, watching sunsets.
And get caught in the rain.
Yeah, and get caught in the rain.
Sorry, that's bad.
And that's all right. So, I just say this is my life now. And I tell everybody that I let my husband buy the rings because we married later in life. We don't have any children that I know about in this country. And the rings were $99 Canadian money for the pair in Walmart, Quebec. He had a coupon. So my life became that of a thrifting person. And now when I look around, everybody's thrifting because groceries are high, gas is high, and living is expensive. Just the basics.
So you got to do what you got to do. Cut corners. I mean, not break the law, but I mean,
yeah. I mean? But you have to think conservatively, because I was reading somewhere that they said Gen Zs really don't care about saving for the future. They don't think they have any. I don't think so. I've talked to a lot of Gen Zs that have big plans, and they want to build slowly and securely for what their future is. They don't want to get married right away. They don't want to have a family right away because there's economic instability. But so I don't believe anything I hear. I just go person to person. I think we create a future collectively. No matter what race we are, what age we are, we're all connected.
Exactly. That's it. It's all a circle. You know what I mean? Like the circle of life. That's
Yep.
Yeah. Might sound cheesy, but that's the truth of it.
Yep.
But no, Diane, this has been truly phenomenal. Just getting your insight into, honoring your family, and just know And I think they're very proud of you. They really, really are. Just to see the work that you're continuing to do, and it really is. Yeah, it's truly nothing short of just fantastic. And thank you for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And do you have any maybe final words you'd like to give our listeners? Anybody listening who, I mean, you kind of gave a little bit of. Types of encouragement. But any parting words you'd like to leave our listeners with, or thoughts?
Remember, you can change tomorrow by the thoughts that you have right now. So make them positive thoughts and good thoughts, and tell yourself all is well, and that I am, and that is enough. And if that makes a little inroad in your thinking, you need to do that every day. And soon you inherit the world that you see in front of you, the best one, the positive one. So never give up. I'm a very tenacious person, and I realize that. And my art and my mission, it is taking twists and turns I never imagined. It's opening up in a way that is beyond description for me, and it has a life of its own. And you and everyone can have a different life and amaze themselves every day if they try. I just was given I tell everybody, I was not given dirty socks and old furniture and mortgages. I was given art. That's what I inherited. So
That's the
now
best.
that's fun for me because my background is creative, and that's the whole family was that way.
To find that outlet, everyone needs some sort of outlet. And yes, I mean, take those words, guys. Like, really, it truly is. And then also, tomorrow's not promised. That's always one thing I always say. Tomorrow's never promised. You want to also take the time to stop and smell the roses. Anything that you want to do in life, you know, even if you say, "Oh, it's fine, I'm still young," just pretend like like the live like you were dying. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of a one way to put it. You know, we don't want to leave on a somber note. But yeah, this is but
Yeah.
this is truly fantastic. Diane, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you and your books and all that stuff? Amazon, of course, but is
Okay, well,
there?
Amazon, I've been having trouble trying to work out my Amazon, but they can write to me at my website. My website is I have a couple of them. www.mysmallonebooks plural.com is my children's books, with a description of my mission and my family, what they left me, my mom and dad. And my brother's art is at www.cbsticks.com. His coloring books are for sale there, and his art is on display, plus a couple of news station interviews that I had that supported me on my mission when I started my new nonprofit, which is causeworthcoloring.com. So on Facebook, we have Renna's World, RENNAH apostrophe L N RENNAH apostrophe S World. That is my comedy page, which ties into other events that I'm doing. And A Cause Worth Coloring is the coloring book and the art page for my brothers. So, and Instagram is I don't know if I'm talking too fast for you,
No, no, go
but
for it. People can pause it too if need be.
yeah, Stick Smell Doozy is my brother's Instagram page. I put everything on there, shots of me on comedy stage, little short videos and funny stuff. So that's Stick Smell Doozy, all one word, on Instagram. But right now, that's pretty much what I have. I'm looking to bring in a friend of mine from many years ago who's suddenly made himself available to help me do my own podcast and increase my digital dummy IQ to above dummy somewhere, so that I can learn to upgrade my websites and be more interactive on social media with people. So I've gotten to the rule of 15-second videos and stuff like that. But those are and if people want to write to me, it's a causeworthcoloring.com, causeworthcoloring at gmail.com.
Awesome. Guys, make sure to go check all that out and check out the amazing work that Diane is doing. Diane, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. And best of luck in everything you do. We should definitely stay in touch for sure.
Definitely. It was fun. I look forward to hearing the full podcast when it's all ready. And
Of
we'll
course.
talk to you soon.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Diane. Guys, we are going to take a short break. We will be right back. But until then, this is Franky and Diane signing off. Cheers, Diane.
Bye.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to the Corkin Entertainment Show. That was me and Diane Bostick. Thank you very much, Diane, for coming on the show. Terrific conversation, and was just very lucky to have you on. So thank you, guys. Be sure to check out all the amazing work that she's done. So moving on to our first solo discussion topic today. Red Dead Redemption 2. It's no secret to anybody who knows me that Red Dead Redemption 2 is hands down my favorite game of all time. I think it's the best game ever made. Now, I'm sure that's debatable. People can make arguments as to why it's GTA 5 or why it's going to be GTA 6. But for me, Red Dead Redemption 2, I remember it was like my most anticipated game of all time because the first one is just absolutely spectacular. I'm even looking at a poster of it as I'm saying that, of the first one. And it's just an absolutely terrific game and franchise. So that's why it was probably the one remastered game that I want more than anything is Red Dead Redemption 1. A full remaster of that game with the Red Dead Redemption 2 graphics and everything would just be out of this world spectacular. Also because, now that Red Dead Redemption 1 is a sequel to Red Dead Redemption 2, which is kind of weird whenever you think about it when you hear that out of context, but that's the truth of it. So it would be really, really cool to see a remaster of the first one, but with Red Dead 2 graphics, maybe throw in some extra dialogue to, now that they know, because when they made the first Red Dead 1, like they're asking, why wasn't Arthur Morgan mentioned in the first one? It's like, well, because they never planned to make a prequel to it. It just happened that this is how it turned out to be. So I think now that knowing what we know and knowing where the story ends up and how they got there and everything, I think it'd be cool if they remastered it, not just with the graphics, but throw in some extra dialogue, maybe mention Arthur a few times. I think that would just be out of this world. Fantastic. But from what it sounds like, comicbook.com is reporting this. New Red Dead Redemption 2 rumor is exciting for fans exciting for PS5 and Xbox fans. Red Dead Redemption 2 is rumored to be getting some sort of new version for Xbox Series X, NS, and PS5. Rockstar makes some of the biggest, most ambitious games, which result in sprawling open-world cinematic stories and extremely engaging sandboxes. However, that ambition usually comes at a cost. In a world where gamers' standards are quite high, Rockstar's one fault is that games typically run 30 frames per second on consoles, which are historically the only place. So they talk a lot about that. So basically, yeah. So they're talking about getting a remaster, Red Dead 2 getting a remaster for Xbox Series X. Now, whether it's like a full-on remaster of the second game, I'm not entirely sure. But I think so. What this means is, I don't think it means like we're getting like they're completely remastering the second Red Dead, because let's be honest, it doesn't need it. It really, really doesn't. Because Red Dead 2 was already, I think I've, like, as I said, the first Red Dead, which was made in 2010, that would be the perfect game to do a remaster of, because they didn't know that Red Dead 2 was going to be a prequel, or that they were even going to make another Red Dead after the first one. Just kind of do one and see what happens. turned into a huge hit, so they ended up doing a sequel, which takes place before, so we get to see John Marston back and everything. There's so much more opportunity if you remaster the first one. The second one didn't even come out not that long ago. It's like literally 2018, 7 years ago. That's not that bad. That's not that far back. So to me, I'm like, there's no point in remastering it. It already looks absolutely spectacular. Maybe in 10 years you can remaster the second one. But to me, I just think it's kind of pointless to say you're going to remaster it. Now, whether these are rumors and stuff like that, so we don't know how accurate they are. And I don't know if when they say remaster, if they mean we're just going to put it up on Xbox Series X and maybe just tweak some of the graphics or whatever. It's, I don't expect that's what they're going to do, but I'm just kind of talking about this as we think it's going to happen, but what actually is going to happen, or so what I'm thinking is it's probably true. It's not going to be like a full remaster where they make it like GTA 6 graphics and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think it's just going to be, a few different things that they'll tweak, maybe look a little better. But if they were to do a full remaster of it, sure, I'm not saying that wouldn't be a bad thing. It'd be great. But to me, there's not really a point, to be honest with you. Just because, I mean, hell, the second one is already spectacular. It's very realistic. The graphics are terrific. There's no point in doing a remaster of it right now, anyway. In 10 years, when we get GTA 7 and we get Red Dead Redemption 3, whatever it's going to be, then yeah, sure, remaster the second one. But I just think right now there's no point. You're better off to do a remaster of the first one, which I think would sell tremendously. That would be a perfect sell, and would warrant me actually getting a Series X and PS5, or PS5. I don't get. I'm not buying both. But that would warrant me getting both of those, because right now I don't really have any interest in buying it until GTA 6 comes out. But at least if we know that we're going to get like a remaster of the first one that's only available on Series X, then absolutely, that's more drive for me to buy a Series X, because I don't play enough games now to warrant me buying a whole other console. Like I said, the only games I really play are Red Dead, Minecraft, GTA 5 as well too. But so yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I just think if they do a full remaster of it, yay, it's cool, but there's not really a point, because the second one's already terrific in terms of graphics and everything. There's not really a point in doing it now. So I'd say you're better off to just go straight to or go back in time rather to Red Dead 1 and remaster that. But that's just my opinion. But definitely be sure to let me know what you guys think. Is a Red Dead Redemption 2 remaster pointless? Is it a great idea? Whatever you think, definitely be sure to let me know your thoughts on that. And so our second and final discussion topic today is going to be talking a little bit about James Gunn, who I think is one of the best filmmakers working today. He's not just a filmmaker, he's also a CEO. He runs, the new DC studio, basically head of DC. He's the Kevin Feige of DC. And I'm very excited for Superman, which is coming out pretty soon, actually. It's coming out, like a month or so? Something like that now? We're less than probably... Yeah, I think about less than a month now. It's the first week of July. So yeah, so it's coming up quick. And, I have... lots of respect, and I'm a fan of everything James Gunn has done. I think the Guardians of the Galaxy films are spectacular. And he's writing and directing Superman. So I think it's going to be great. I'm excited to see it. And so I just read an article which this solidifies my appreciation for James Gunn even more. So, of course, as I mentioned, he he made the Guardians of the Galaxy films and took a group of superheroes that I didn't even really know much about. I didn't know much about Guardians of the Galaxy. I still remember when the movie came out, people were like, what the hell is he making a Guardians of the Galaxy movie for? Like, who the hell are they? But he took it, and I'll be honest, there's a lot of those Guardians movies that I think rival some of the Avengers movies. Like, I thought Guardians 3 was one of, if not the best movie since Endgame. It's between that and maybe Deadpool and Wolverine. But just James Gunn did a terrific job, and I'm so glad that he was able to come back for Guardians 3. He got fired for those tweets and stuff like that at one point, and then he was able to come back. So, so one of the big things that people were looking forward to seeing in Guardians 3 that didn't end up happening was to see Thor with the Guardians. Of course, at the end of Avengers Endgame, Thor joins the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then in Thor Love and Thunder, we see the Guardians of the Galaxy in there for the first 20 minutes or so, and then they left. And then we saw Guardians 3 the next year, and Thor was nowhere to be seen, of course. So I know there was a lot of people disappointed by that. I was, people who know me know that I absolutely despised Thor Love and Thunder. I thought that movie was a steaming pile of shit. But I thought the Guardians of the Galaxy were great in it. And they were only in it for 20 minutes. Would it have saved the movie? Probably not. I don't think it would have saved the movie. But it would have made it more watchable for me just because I love the Guardians so much. So now it was expected we would have seen lots of Thor in Guardians 3. Of course, Love and Thunder kind of changed that up. They went their separate ways. But now we're finding out the reason because of that. Or the reason why that happened was because James Gunn didn't want Thor in it. Now, it's not for the reason people might be thinking where they go, oh my God, James Gunn is just, he's micromanaging, blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't want Thor in Guardians 3 because, quote, I don't understand the character that much. So I read this from Variety here, the article. The article is, James Gunn told Marvel he would not put Thor in Guardians Volume 3, despite Avengers Endgame finale. James Gunn stood his ground to protect the highly beloved Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, even against the studio that produced it. In a recent interview with Entertainment Weekly, Gunn said that he fought back against the MCU's connected timeline after he saw Thor join the Guardians in the Avengers Endgame finale. I said in the script notes, I'm not going to put him in. I don't want to have Thor in the Guardians. I don't want to do a movie with Thor, Gunn explained. I don't understand the character that much. I love watching his movies, and I love Chris Hemsworth as a guy. I don't understand how to write that character. So that to me is, I'm like, wow, that took, he didn't even try to tackle it. He was just like, like James Gunn, obviously, he's a CEO, he's an amazing filmmaker. He knows his movies. He knows what he can write. He knows and stuff like that. So he wasn't overconfident to the point of, yeah, I can write anybody. As soon as it came to Thor, he's like, I don't know. I'd rather not butcher his character. You know what I mean? It also continues on here. They chose to have that ending in editing, Gunn told Rolling Stone at the time, and I didn't think it was going to be in there. Endgame came out right after I decided to do Guardians again, so I didn't have much say in what was in Endgame, and then it came out, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? That's when Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige told me, Taika's going to do Thor, and we'll have the Guardians in it, and I said, thank God. To be honest, Thor was never going to be in this movie. Taika took a bullet for me because I wasn't going to have him in. I was just going to start up, and there's no Thor. So that's I just have such big respect for James Gunn, for what he's done as a filmmaker. And this right here even solidified that even more. He's like, look, okay, maybe some people say that maybe if Thor was in Guardians 3, it would have done better, blah, 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 blah. I don't necessarily agree with that. Maybe it would have made like $1 billion or whatever. I don't know. I mean, that's just, money is irrelevant at this point. Quality over quantity. James didn't feel comfortable writing Thor just because he's not as familiar with the character. It's like if you're writing, let's say you're writing a play that takes place in the Second World War, and you're not as familiar with the Second World War and stuff like that. Some people who could be too overconfident could say, yeah, I can handle that, no trouble. I'm so-and-so, But with James Gunn was just like, okay, I don't feel comfortable because I don't understand the character of Thor that much. I'm not even going to try to pretend that I understand that character. So I'm just not going to have him in Guardians 3. To me, that shows quality over quantity right there. That's a perfect example of it, because he chose not to have him in, not because he doesn't like Thor, not because he doesn't like Chris Hemsworth, but because he didn't want to butcher it. Writing a character that he doesn't really understand or know how to write, he took himself out of that, and I completely applaud him for it, because I know there were some people who were disappointed that we didn't get to see more of the Guardians, but it is what it is. It really is what it is. And I'm glad that he didn't decide to butcher. And it's not like we would never see Thor again. Obviously, we're going to see him in Doomsday. I think they're already talking about a Thor 5. So, yeah, like, we are going to see him. And then he'll probably be in Secret Wars. And, whether he survives either of those films, I don't know. That's up in the air, but we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I want to just give my thoughts on that, because I think that's, as a filmmaker, that's a terrific mindset to have. And I applaud James Gunn even more. I already had a lot of respect for him, and this just made it higher, because he is more interested in making a quality film and writing a good film than he is of just, let's just throw in all these characters that we know people will come in to see because it's so-and-so, it's Thor, it's going to make money. But he chose to not take that chance. So, big props to James Gunn. If he's ever listening to this, I don't know. He probably not. There's no freaking way he's listening to this. But anyways, yeah, be sure to let me know your thoughts on that. Did James Gunn make the right decision? Should Thor have been in Guardians 3 or not? Definitely be sure to let me know what you think. So, yeah, we're going to call it for the show today, guys. I want to thank my guest, Diane Bostick, for coming on. Be sure to check out her work. We credit her and all that stuff. And thank you guys for listening to the show. And again, as I said off the top, be sure to give podcasters on Facebook a check out if you're looking to be a podcaster, if you're looking to be a guest and you're looking to network and look for other podcasts to be part of. Then definitely check that group out. Also, as well as Podmatch as well too, which we had an advertisement for in the middle of the show. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys in the next one. But until then, this is Franky signing off. Cheers, everyone.